We're continuing the Gerald Shea Memorandum series, and in this video, we're going to be talking about the Office of Aviation Operations and Laboratories that some of these art students were known to try and ply their trade at the homes of people that work at laboratories in the Office of Special Operations, Aviation Operations. In September 2000, two males who attempted to sell him artwork approached a supervisory special agent pilot at his residence. Approximately 2 weeks ago, the SSAP noticed two males selling artwork in his neighborhood. Special agent's residence is located in Plantation, Florida. Now, I don't know what to make of the connection between aviation operations and the art student ring. Now, some of the 9/11 hijackers lived near Plantation, Florida. They took flight training in Florida, South Florida, by the way. So if we actually Google Plantation, Florida, right? Let's just go from here. Okay. Plantation, Florida is near Fort Lauderdale, and it is right near where some of the hijackers lived. Here's Hollywood. This is where Muhammad Atta Marwan al-Shehi lived, right here. Okay. Not that far. There's Plantation, right? So they're within the distance, driving distance of these people. Plantation to Hollywood. It's not that far. It's it's interesting to note that we had art student rings that were in Florida, and they were going not just to DA, the FBI, and to near the residences of the 9/11 hijackers, but also to homes of aviation operations. On February 1st, 2001, one male, approximately 21 years old, sold artwork to a special agent pilot as a residence in San Francisco, California. The SAP wrote a check to Roni Shlomo, the amount of $125. Now, no hijacker lived in San Francisco, but they did live in San Diego, Khalid Al-Midar and Nawaf Al-Hazmi. On February 8th of 2001, a male, approximately 25 years old, attempted to sell a special agent some artwork at a residence in Northeast Albuquerque, New Mexico. On February 12, 2001, a special agent was approached at his residence by a male, 19 to 21 years old, that attempted to sell artwork. Supposedly residence located in Miami, Florida. All right. So it's interesting to note that we may have a connection between this ring here, this unit, and go into the homes of special agent pilots in cities, states where the hijacker pilots were at. Because by 2001, all the hijacker pilots are inside the United States. Muhammad Atta Marwan al-Shehi, Hani Hanjour, Ziad Jarrah, Khalid Al-Midar, and Nawaf Al-Hazmi. Originally, Khalid Al-Midar and Nawaf Al-Hazmi were supposed to be the pilots for Flight 77, but they got replaced late by Hani Hanjour. If we're to believe the story, right? Right? We don't have any reason to not believe the story because we don't have any evidence to counter it yet, or if there ever was, right? I'm just trying to be careful here. Don't rush to judgment. I don't care about that. Be an investigator. Go by the evidence, right? So it's very interesting that we do have these young people go into the homes of special agent pilots at the residences in the states where the hijacker pilots are. Now, I'm not saying that's a direct connection. Okay, it's not. But where there's smoke, there's fire. It's interesting right here. I wish we had some names. We have Roni Shlomo, but nothing really comes up. In late January, early February 2001, two people attempted to sell artwork to a Raytheon Aerospace Support Service contract employee at his residence. Wow, that's interesting. The employee's residence is located in Arlington, Texas. By the way, Houston, Texas, anyway, is home to one of the biggest units in the art student ring. Raytheon. Hmm. Could be nothing, but that's really interesting. If we're to investigate deeper and say, how the hell did they know where these people lived? Right. So, in other words, either Israel was getting information regarding, say, Raytheon Aerospace Support Services, right? Do they have a spy inside? Do they had an art student that went inside Raytheon? Or maybe a spy that wasn't part of the art student ring? Or maybe somebody working at Raytheon giving information, personal information to the Israeli military or the government and or both? And it went down to this person to see if that person actually lived there. Why? I wish we don't have specifics. It's only speculation. Laboratories. North Central Lab in Chicago, Illinois. There have been no reports of suspicious activities by Israeli art students at DA facilities or at residences of any DA employee in North Central Laboratory. Mid-Atlantic Laboratory, Washington, D.C. There have been no reports of suspicious activities by Israeli art students. Western Lab, same thing. However, Southwest Lab in National City, California. On September 18, 2000, a female Israeli art student approached the security guard. At the same time, the Southwest Laboratory director was in the lobby speaking with a contractor. The female approached the lab director and asked him to look at some paintings. The lab director declined. She proceeded to ask him his opinion of the paintings. The female stated that she is a student and works at a studio in La Jolla, California. A few weeks later, a male of Middle Eastern descent visited the Southwest Lab selling artwork and spoke to the same security guard. The security guard noted that the male spoke with the same accent as the female who had visited the lab previously. The male left the building without speaking to anyone else. Maybe the guy went back because the girl said, hey, I got somebody to talk to. Guy went back, spoke to the guard to see if the guard was doing his job. If not, he could probably go in a little bit further. If not, he'll leave, won't breach. Probably saw that the guard was on point and just decided to leave. The lab director, not speculation. The lab director also had an encounter at his residence, date unknown. One male, one female with oil paintings visited the lab director's home and wanted to show some paintings. The lab director informed the male and female that he was not interested in love. How did they get this address? How did they get this guy's address? Unless they followed him in a car from this point. The initial sentence I was reading. Were they waiting for him? Approximately 7:40 p.m. on Thursday, May 31st, 2001, an Israeli art student came to the residence of the forensic chemist William Dietz. He had a large black portfolio containing artistic pictures. He stated he was from Israel. He wanted to know if Dietz would be interested in purchasing some paintings. Dietz asked him to repeat where he was from, and he said it was Israel. When Dietz asked where he went to school, he said it was a school in Israel. When Dietz asked for the name of the school, he avoided answering the question by saying Dietz wouldn't know it. Dietz told him that he didn't have time to speak with him further because he was busy, but asked him if he could provide a business card. He said he did not have one. It also appeared that he did not possess any other form of identification or permit to sell items door to door. Dietz was able to ask the Israeli his name. He said it was Gar, or something close to that. The man was approximately 5'8", 5'10", tall, short curly brown hair, tan complexion, and wore an orange T-shirt containing some sort of design and/or words. Dietz's wife stated that she saw the man coming from the house next door, but the timing of his departure from that house was so quick that there was either no response or he did not even follow through with his visit. Then walked to the other side of the street and away from the house down the street, there was a perpendicular that was perpendicular to the Dietz house. The street has many cul-de-sacs off of it. The man never walked down any of them. He merely walked to the end of the street and turned the corner. He was not seen at that time getting into a car. Interesting. Approximately 8:15 p.m. that same evening, Dietz had to drive to the store. As Dietz drove down his street, a small blue car with the license plate pulled up in front and was being driven by a male that appeared to be similar to the man. The car made several turns within the neighborhood and eventually picked up a female. Blue car's sporadic driving lead us to believe that the driver did not have a clear understanding of where it was to pick up the female passenger and may have even been searching for her. Should she be going to another house? Was she spying on the lab director? I don't know. There have been no reports of suspicious activities in the Northwest Lab in New York. However, Southwest Lab, Miami, Florida, some action here. Sometime between August and October of 2000, a male described as 5'8", black hair, tan complexion, possibly Middle Eastern descent, visited the home of a forensic chemist. The male claimed he was an Israeli art student selling artwork. The chemist declined to purchase any of the artwork, and the student went on his way. Sometime between August and October of 2000, male described as 5'8", dark complexion, possibly Middle Eastern, visited the home of another forensic chemist. The young man asked the chemist if he ever heard of his art school in Israel. The chemist responded negatively. The student began to show the chemist some paintings. The student entered the home, used the restroom, and proceeded to discuss the sale of the paintings. The student advised that the paintings were not for sale. They were used to generate interest and support for his school. Chemist asked if there was a show or display somewhere that he'd go look at the paintings. Student said no, then agreed to sell the chemist the painting he wanted. Student offered a discount price if the chemist purchased more than one. Chemist purchased one painting and then showed the student out. Why are they going to chemists? Again, let's speculate, hypothetical, right? What was one of the lies that of 9/11? Anthrax, correct? We have two pieces of disinformation that led to the Iraq War. One was the most notorious, which was used at the United Nations Security Council, the torture of Egypt, of a Libyan named Sheikh Ibn al-Libi. He was tortured by Egyptians on orders of the CIA. And he told his captors that, yes, Al-Qaeda was seen procuring chemical and biological weapons with Iraqi Ba'athist officials. That information went to the Secretary of State, Colin Powell, who went before the United Nations Security Council, asked George Tenet, the DCI, if this information is valid. Tenet said, yes, it is, but it was never verified. That's how they went to war. Now, there was another piece of disinformation that this is coming from the Israelis themselves, Israeli intelligence, that Mohammed Atta went to Prague and tried to procure anthrax there. But Mohammed Atta never went to Prague. Was this about trying to procure anthrax or make anthrax? I don't know. Speculation, right? Why would they go to chemists? Why would they go to chemists' students' houses? Or a lab director? Information. I mean, information is power. That's what this is all about. The most powerful people in the world are not kings and queens and leaders of bank cartels and oil cartels. They're from the intelligence services. Information changes everything, especially if it's compromising information. Compromising to who? The person that they're targeting. Wasn't that the whole Epstein case? You think he's the only one? Why do you think Israel spies inside the United States? Why? Because they have compromised information, which ensures that the United States would never waver against Israeli interests. Is that irrational to say so? No, it's not, because this is what is going on here. What do you think is going on here in the Joe? What is this about? Anybody who's a detractor, what is this about? Is this what allies do for each other? Well, the United States does it too, but that doesn't make it right. January 21st, 2001, a young man carrying a portfolio of paintings visited the home of a security specialist. The young man introduced himself as an Israeli art student selling artwork from his school in Israel. The security specialist advised the student that he was not interested, and the student left. On February 7, 2001, Inbar Kochavi. By the way, I looked up this name. Hardly anything comes up, and I think the profile of the daughter of this woman comes up. An Israeli national attempted solicitation at the Southwest Laboratory. Kochavi was escorted out of the building. Kochavi was later located in an adjacent federal occupied building. A special agent Federal Protective Service officers and the Southwest Lab security specialists identified Kochavi as an Israeli art student visiting the United States for the first time. Apparently, she is staying with a friend, Rami Dror. Now, when I look up Rami Dror, right, nothing comes up. Nothing. Kochavi also stated Dror is a 27-year-old male living in Kendall, Florida area. Kochavi initially stated she was selling the artwork and utilizing the monies for scholarships. Later, she revealed that she wasn't selling the paintings, but presenting them to people and businesses in the United States for the purpose of promoting the art students in Israel. Kochavi could not spell the name of the school, but wrote out Bezalel, located in Jerusalem, Bezalel. Kochavi also revealed that she served time in the Israeli military as a secretary. An FPS officer explained that all Israeli students serve 2 years in the military upon reaching the age of 18. She claimed that she is currently employed as a waitress in a restaurant called Yotveda in the city of Herzliya. Kochavi stated she arrived in Miami, Florida, either February 2nd, 2001 or February 3rd, 2001. She stated she flew from Ben Gurion Airport in Israel to New York, then to Miami. Kochavi's passport had a U.S. immigration stamp that indicates she landed in New York on December 31st, 2000. Kochavi was asked about her transportation to and from the area, and she stated her friend Dror was dropping her off and picking her up. Dror was expected to pick up Kochavi in a white van. They all have white vans, by the way, picking these people up, especially if there's more than one. Kochavi was asked about the names of others, fellow students that might be involved in the artwork promotion. She claimed there might be students like herself in the United States, but she was not aware of this activity in other foreign nations. Of course not, because this is connected to what? The 9/11 attacks, most likely. Isn't it freaking obvious? Kochavi provided Israeli passport 7674731. Kochavi was released and observed entering a blue van with Florida license plate, blah, blah, blah. The registration revealed the van to be owned by Legum Yochai. Right? Legum Yochai. This comes up. He's old enough. Is this the same guy? Software developer, software management, software developer. When? 1998, 2001. He's in Tokyo, Japan as a software developer. 2001, 2003, software developer at ICTS UK in Ireland. It's ICTS UK. Security solution provider driven by innovation. Technology. It's interesting. Same person, I don't know. On the evening of February 18, 2001, two subjects visited the residence of a forensic chemist. Two subjects were identified as one male, 21 to 25 years old, 6 foot, 185 pounds, dark hair, close cut, neat appearance, and one female, 21 to 25, 5 foot 6, 140, brown hair, just past the shoulders with a slight perm, neat appearance. Two subjects politely identified themselves as Israeli art students selling artwork. Chemist informed the students he was not interested. He did ask them for a business card. They could not provide one. Upon their departure, the chemist observed the two subjects visit the other units in the building. The chemist believes one resident purchased a painting, right? And what I'll do is I'll talk about this here, right? South Central Laboratory, Dallas, Texas. In December 2000, an Israeli art student by the name of Cohn Maitel. Now, let's take a look at this. Cohn Maitel. Anything comes up? Maitel Cohn? No. No, hardly anything, right? Was observed by a DA employee sitting on the Western Street curb of the Dallas Divisional Office selling artwork. Student claimed that a group of Israeli art students, about 20, paint works of art and sell them at local places of business. The employee purchased the painting and was offered to have it framed by an acquaintance of the Israeli group. Check was made out to Cohn Maitel and mailed to the following address. Blah, blah, blah. Cohn Maitel. Kalmanovic. Well, Michael Kalmanovic. He's in Dallas, Texas. He's the leader of the Israeli art student ring in Houston, Texas. We spoke about him earlier, how important he is to all this. Michael Kalmanovic. Another DEA employee purchased a painting for the same Israeli art student for $135. The employee paid by check, and the student informed the employee that a framer would be in touch with him. On December 15, 2000, a man named Rosie Sisso framed a picture from the back of a panel van in the parking lot next to DA's property. These were two men in the van. However, the employee only dealt with one. Framer wanted to visit the employee's home to match the frame to his furnishings, but the employee declined. Later in January, forensic chemists informed the employee that an artist associated with the first incident wanted to talk with him in the DA from parking lot. The artist wanted to sell more paintings, and the employee told him he would canvass the neighborhood and let him know about 4 or 5 o'clock. 5 p.m., the employee told the artist no one was interested, and the artist left. In January of 2001, another employee was approached by his home by 2 Israeli art students, one male, one female. Students stated they were selling their artwork for profit. The employee explained that he was not interested. The employee canvassed his neighbors and found that one of the neighbors purchased a painting from the students. The lab security officer advised the employee to try and obtain a copy of the canceled check from the neighbor. A copy of the check could not be obtained. Now, look, they could have been searching, like, just to throw whoever's off the target, right? By going to other people's houses and selling artwork. But if they went to the target's house, then it was mission accomplished, right? All right, to throw him off, go to other people's houses and sell artwork. That could have been part of the operation. I don't know. I'm speculating here. Now, could it be that they were trying to look for other people in the neighborhood? They didn't know. Would that make sense? I don't know. Were they just Israeli art students? Yes. It's highly unlikely that many of them even knew what was going on. But that some people in the art student ring were indeed part of the military and part of the intelligence services. We have already accomplished this. Could it be that the other Israeli art students were really selling art? Yes. That they had no idea that people within their unit were basically working for the military and the intelligence services in collecting data on specific targets. Very well could be the case. No one knows, even within their own unit, who's a spy and who's not. Who is the authentic art student, who is not. You have to keep that in mind. Especially for a ring so big in Texas that, that's why other art students were saying, yeah, there's other people like me selling art. Because they probably were having no idea, hey, we know what we're doing is fine. But if you had the 1 or 2 people within that unit who are basically working to collect personal information on people from the laboratories division, the FBI, the DA, yeah. And they would have no idea, these people. Now, the units of these people, now that's different because I think they knew. That's why the units of these art student rings in Texas and New York and Virginia and Florida and California, they all work for either the Israeli intelligence services or the military. Why? Because they would have the backgrounds to coordinate units, operations, and know how to disseminate and organize a covert intelligence unit. So some of these backgrounds I had to read off to you to show you, who's who. It's hard. No. March 4th, 2001, a DA chemist was approached by his home an Israeli art student selling her paintings. The chemist gave his phone number next, her to contact the security officer at the office on March 5th, 2001. On March 5th, 2001, approximately 3 p.m., the same student contacted the security officer via telephone. The student said her name was Elsa, but refused to relinquish her last name. Elsa claimed she was with a group of 20 art students from Israel, traveling and promoting their artwork. Now, she may not have been part of the 1 or 2 people that were collecting personal information on a specific target. She's telling the truth. Yeah, there's others like me. We're selling art. But it's interesting to note that they're going to the businesses and homes of specific individuals working in specific fields. Was this basically to throw them off? If they sold an artwork, if they sold a painting to, say, a DA, a chemist, right? They write down the address, the name is where we sold it, we gave it to. Then somebody within that unit who's working covertly would say, all right, we got the name of this person and we're going to monitor this person because he's working at such and such, without the total knowledge of the person selling the painting. Nobody, she probably just thought, I sold the painting, did good. I bet you more than half of the people in the Israeli art student ring had no idea what they were doing. After reading this fully, along with you, I'm almost convinced that a large majority of these people had no idea that they were running an illegal operation. Now, did they know that they were inside the country illegally? Yeah. Collecting money for Israel. I mean, yeah, but I have no evidence for this. Of course, I'm speculating, and it's not irrational. It's just puzzling because we don't know specifics. When you don't know specifics, it's for some people, it's like, no, I can't. I got to make up something. That's the wrong idea. Because when you make up something, now you're just, you're like a crooked cop who's just making up evidence because you want to implicate somebody. That's not what we're doing here on my channel. We don't do that. We're investigators. We're responsible. Go by the evidence. Don't make up something because you hate Israel. Right? Well, fuck Israel. I'll just make up something because they're guilty anyway. That's not how to look at this. If we have evidence that Israel was involved in a pre-intelligence operation, have the evidence. If not, shut up. That's it. End of story. Your feelings don't matter. Because if we're going to hold anybody accountable, we need evidence. No more speculation. This is why the 9/11 Truth Movement failed you. Because they weren't reading this. They never told you to read this. Did they? No, they didn't. They told you that the 9/11 is an inside job, the government's involved, and Israel's involved. That's it. That's all you need to know. Fuck specifics. Because you know why? Because they didn't know specifics. And people like Christopher Bolin, Rebecca Roth, and Richard Gage, and Jason Bermas, and all these people, they all fooled you. They didn't do any of this, what I'm doing. Don't pat on my back. I'm not smarter than anybody. I'm reading information because nobody else has done it. So, that's the end of this chapter. And we still have a couple more pages to go, and we're near the end, actually. But we still have more chapters to go. And so I will end it here. Listen, have a great day, everybody. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.